Now, normally I don't like to cover the same topics day after day, moment after moment, but in some instances, new data, new prophecies that you make the day before end up coming true, and you find new things come out, and they just fall in the center of your lap like a small child with Joe Biden. And if you just would look at the devil himself, he's coming out with some mighty spicy proclamations that some of his United States intel members believe that COVID-19 came from a Chinese lab accident. Who? Don't quite know. He's not very specific, mostly because I probably can't remember who said that they might have the faintest inkling that this doesn't necessarily look like bat stew after all. President Joe Biden said on May 26th that the U.S. intelligence community, who is it? Don't know, believe there are two likely scenarios that may have caused the CCP virus outbreak in China, noting that a significant number of officials believe the virus was spread due to a laboratory accident. God, it's so nice to be talking about something that you've been thinking about for a long time. And now that the duly elected president, wink wink nudge nudge, is speaking about it, I don't think YouTube has any legs to be standing on this one, because he might be scrubbing the dislike bar off of his official YouTube channel, the White House's official YouTube channel, but they haven't scrubbed him off there, so I think we're in the clear. And if you're watching this on YouTube or on hopefully on one of the other preferable outlets, but if you're watching it over here, that means everything's on the up and up. His statement was released by the White House comes amid officials saying that they don't believe the virus developed naturally, contradicting the official narrative of the Chinese Communist Party. But they're just so believable and honest. Like, why couldn't you take them at face value? Like, Joe Biden spent more time with Xi than any other world leader has, so I thought that they'd be cool with one another. Why would they lie? I don't know. Which has said the virus was spread through the wet market in Wuhan's Hebei province in late 2019. And if anybody said otherwise, they had this weird habit of disappearing and not being able to see their family or getting welded into their apartment building. I don't know, fucking weird stuff would happen if you'd ever speak up about it. In recent days, a growing number of officials, including the United States National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases Chief Anthony Fauci, has suggested that the virus didn't develop naturally. Okay. The fact that they're talking about this immediately started to raise red flags in my head like aneurysms in Joe Biden's head, because they're polarizing just about everything else, at least anything that'll immediately come to mind for me and most likely you as well. So why would they be taking up this former conspiracy theory and acting on it? Because it's weird what they are doing. Maybe it's because they can see that there's going to be a new cause du jour on the horizon. They're going to have to hop from enforcing authoritarian policies, which were outlined and created by the Chinese Communist parties, i.e. mandates and lockdowns, and they're going to have to switch over to maybe being adversarial against the Chinese? I don't know. I don't know what the play is. There's not a lot of information. This is a brand new story, so we could get all tinfoil hatty if we want, but we just got to go with what we see right now and what we can deduce based on the information provided. After I became president, you could say became, I'd say installed in March, I had my national security advisor task the intelligence community to prepare a report for their most up-to-date analysis to the origins of COVID-19, including whether it emerged from a human contact with the infected animal or a laboratory accident. Really? Did ya? Biden said, adding that he wanted intelligence agents to redouble, that's a word, their efforts in finding the origin of the virus. As of today, the United States intelligence community has coalesced around two likely scenarios. I like the fact that they printed out what Joe Biden had to say, because god damn it, if he was to deliver this, there would be a whole bunch of ums and ahs and misspoken words and added in tangents about how if we ever had a virus outbreak at the pool, you know, you'd have the maintenance man, he'd come down, he'd rope off the section of the pool, he'd pour in the chlorine, and that would turn the chlorine, it would turn the hair on my legs gold, and the black kids would come over and play with it, and the underwater, and Corn Pop, he was a bad dude. And I love this little town. I've been here many times before. What a neat little town. Where am I? The White House? Neat little town. I'm glad they did us all this service. Here is the current position. All two elements of the intelligence community leans towards the former scenario, and one leans more towards the latter. Each with low or moderate confidence. The majority of the elements do not believe there is sufficient information to assess one to be more likely than the other. Well, what do you mean, Joe? Who's on what side? Where's the information lie? Nothing like being a transparent president. Biden said he wanted the intelligence community, the group of separate United States government intelligence agencies and subordinate organizations, to produce a report within 90 days regarding the virus's origins. Because Biden ultimately cannot piggyback off of Trump's initial efforts like this Pompeo-led effort to figure out what the fuck was happening there. No. He had to cancel this one. He couldn't allow Trump to be setting up anything good. He had to go ahead and make something for himself. But we'll get to that in a second, because the Pompeo-led effort, the one that was going to get to the bottom of this, was actually send people over there to figure out what the fuck went on. Yeah, it got shut down because Orange Man bad. That's basically the gist of it. And I like their new updated graphics on CNN. Boy, I haven't watched them in, how long has it been? 31 years. So it's been a minute since I've seen the updated coronavirus ticker. And yeah, because there's a good number to report, and there's a blue man in the White House now. You can have, average deaths. The 14-day average is down to 563. Thank you, Lord Biden. You've dropped it by 16% over the past 2 weeks. That's terrific. And now you have vaccines administered, even though they are already being administered during the final days of the Trump presidency. You still had the death and the cases updates there on the side. But no, that's good. You have only happy information there. That's why I can see your ratings are just going right through the ceiling, right? Yes. The ceiling of the fucking bondage basement. President Joe Biden's team shut down a closely held State Department effort launched late in the Trump administration to prove the coronavirus originated in a Chinese lab over concerns about the quality of its work, according to 3 sources familiar with the decision. See, at least CNN has 3 sources on this one, which is kind of weird to give them props for doing proper reporting on this, but who knows. And again, it was about finding what happened. Where did the virus originate? Not, did it happen exclusively at that lab? See, that's whatever happens on these fact-checking things, because there's another story that we're going to do in a later video here today, where they're fact-checking a claim that is tangentially close to what they're actually trying to figure out. But no, they'll just pull it back to a scope. It's like, no, you didn't say everything about everything. Therefore, that claim is false. When in actuality, you're just looking specifically at one thing: the existence of the State Department inquiry and its termination this spring by the Biden administration, neither of which had or has been previously reported, comes to light amid renewed interest in whether the virus could have leaked from the Wuhan lab, with links to the Chinese military. The Biden administration is also facing scrutiny of its own efforts to determine if the Chinese government was responsible for the virus. It looks like Biden got the heads up on CNN running this piece because, like it was alluded to in the Epoch Times article, Joe Biden orders the U.S. investigation of coronavirus origins after canceling Mike Pompeo's effort. Yeah, I couldn't let the Orange Man's plan go through, man. So we had to get together our guys from the CAI and the FIB and the ODJ and the different places. I got to see if I got some of my old dudes, some of that prosecutor over there in the Ukraine. He got fired, so I think he's got some time that he can come over and we can figure this stuff out, man. We need to get to the bottom of this. Look, it's very serious, because you could very well have somebody at your dinner table and there's an empty chair. I know I do sometimes, because all of my friends have been dead for decades, because I'm really 300 years old. That's how long I've been in the Senate. That's how long I've been telling people. But there's an empty chair at your dinner table because Orange Man bad. He let that virus come into this country, man, I tell you. So yeah, because Trump can't do anything right, Biden's going to go ahead and do something that'll definitely make a difference and definitely produce results. President Biden ordered United States intelligence agencies Wednesday to redouble their efforts, again with this fucking weird language, to investigate the origins of the coronavirus, despite ending the State Department investigation under former President Donald Trump, seeking the same goal. I have now asked the intelligence community to redouble their efforts to collect and analyze information that could bring us closer to a definitive conclusion, and to report back to me in 90 days. Okay, who's going to be part of that? CNN reported Tuesday that the Biden administration shut down the State Department's efforts launched by then-Secretary Mike Pompeo to investigate the origins of the virus. Pompeo reacted strongly to the report on social media, condemning Biden for siding with China. President Biden sides with China, WHO. It's the exact same thing. Don't be redundant, especially on Twitter. You only have 280 characters, and the liberal media, again, redundancy. on the Wuhan virus, joining the nothing to see here crowd by shutting down State Department pandemic origin investigation I commenced, he wrote. This isn't political. America must lead on this. Yes, a certain sect of America should be leading on this. The intelligence community? I don't know what that means. Is it going to be FBI Director Chris Wray and his friends? Yeah, I'd rather them not be there. Is it going to be Merrick Garland's Justice Department? I don't know. I'm sure Durham probably has a fair amount of spare time on his hands. Maybe he could launch the investigation. Like, who's going to be in charge of this? Who's going to be reporting back in 3 months' time with any sort of tangible information that they've recovered from the soon-to-be bombed-out Wuhan lab? Biden said in his statement, the intelligence community had currently not reached a conclusion on whether the origin of the virus, came from an infected animal or human contact with a lab accident. 2 elements, low to moderate confidence. WHO March report called the lab leak origin scenario extremely unlikely and said the most likely origin was a transmission of the coronavirus from bats to humans. Why hasn't that happened before on a wide scale such as this before? I don't know, in human history. So this would take the smartest minds to go down there and fucking figure some shit out, okay? If it came out of a wet market in Wuhan, if that's likely, you should be able to reproduce a scenario, okay? I'm just saying, have we seen it again? Not to my recollection, not to any of the reports that are out there. So here's hoping that it's the best people that he puts forward, not just going to be a piece that gets thrown together in the next 90 days that somehow appeases Xi and does absolutely nothing, even though I think that's the most likely outcome. But we'll follow up on this. We'll see once there's more information let out about who's going to be conducting the investigation, when is it, if there's going to be boots on the ground, or if it's just going to be fucking Googling articles and just concocting some sort of Frankenstein's mainstream media report that's just going to be sympathetic to everybody who needs to be included in this. This is what I'm thinking, but hey, who fucking knows, right? And with that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.